The surprising power of self-discovery is something that I'm sure we're all familiar with. But before I get into the video, I really just want to start off with a simple question. And that question is, have y'all ever felt like you had some form of untapped potential within you? And this potential is something that always lingers on your mind. You think about the what if, you think about the true possibilities in your life if you were just somehow able to unlock this form of potential that you feel like you're actually capable of unlocking. Because truthfully, lately I've been feeling the exact same way. I'm kind of going through a awkward stage in my life, and I know a lot of y'all can relate, but when you feel like you're destined for greatness, when you feel like you're just capable of more, you are never going to be satisfied. And as crazy as that may sound, and it may sound, slightly ungrateful if you're not necessarily living in this present moment, but when you just feel like you're destined for greatness, when you just feel like there's so much more you can be doing, or just, this form of potential that you just haven't unlocked yet, and it's somewhere in you, and you just have to find ways to allow it to break free. We're always going to be on this constant pursuit to try to figure out how to unlock it. But this concept of self-discovery is something that helps you unlock so many hidden strengths. And a lot of the times, these strengths that we may have are things that we may be familiar with, but we just haven't put ourselves in the position to maximize it, or to really see those things flourish and grow. So that's why I feel like it's very important that we do our best to set the stage for the journey ahead. Really put in the work right now, really do anything that we possibly can do in order to open that door up for ourselves so that we can walk through it. Open up that door to success, open up that door to new opportunities, and really tap into that potential. And something that I really want you to keep in mind is the fact that, since this very thought is on your mind, if you're having that feeling of you just feel like you should be great, or you just have more potential, and it eats at you, because I feel like a lot of us have been in this position where, we may not have lived up to certain standards, or we've been in a position where we may have failed, or we felt like we could have exceeded, those expectations, or even that forms of failure that we faced. And it just never stops us. It never makes us lose, hope for the future. It never makes us feel like, we're just going to quit or give up. We still have that burning desire to be great. And nothing that we do, unless we're living up to our true potential, is going to make us feel satisfied. And truthfully, one of the obstacles that people face when they're trying to uncover their strengths is just this form of discouragement. As life goes on, as the challenges come and things hit you unexpectedly, you are naturally going to feel some type of way about it. We may all get in our feelings. We may all have low points where we may feel like quitting, and this may hinder that feeling of, control or strength that you may have as far as your future. This also ties into self-doubt, social expectations, what we may see around us. A lot of us go on social media and compare our lives to people that really have not walked in our shoes. So therefore, that's why I feel like it's also very important for us to never compare ourselves to the next person. We're all one of one. You do things that I am not capable of doing. The way that you process and you think, that is what makes you unique. And there will never be another you. That's just something you always have to stand firm on and understand. But one thing that I've always kept in mind about this form of self-doubt is how quickly it can change. Just think about it. Just think about anything that you went through in your life where you may not have gotten the best result possible, right? Of course, it kind of hinders, or it gets in the way of your overall confidence. We know that. But just as quick as that moment or that experience occurred, you can go through the exact same thing and succeed, and it can boost that form of self-doubt will no longer be there. So just that ability for it to shift and constantly change really just gives me hope. And I hope that you will allow it to give you hope as well, understanding that it's not the end of the road. When you have self-doubt, when you're comparing yourself to people, when you're in a position where you're trying to mold yourself into the person that you want to be, this is naturally going to be a thing. These thoughts, these feelings, these emotions, these are all what makes you a human being. And with that being said, you just have to learn how to properly regulate and manage them. And one thing that's really helped me on my road to self-discovery is journaling. One thing that I do so often is I put myself in a position to go outside, be in nature, whether it's the beach, whether it's, after the gym, and I'll take some alone time and I'll just write out all of my thoughts. I'll write out my perception on the world. I'll write out, my life and just things that may be going on at that very moment. And it helps me get in better touch with my overall being. understanding how I process things, because when I go back and look on it a year later or a couple months later, I can see the state of mind that I was in and tie that into that time period. Not only will that put me in a position to make adjustments, but it puts me in a position to grow. I don't know if y'all have ever done this, but have you guys ever looked back in your phone from 4 or 5 years or whatever old social media accounts and saw the way that you used to process and think about things based on your old text messages, or the way that you used to speak? If you've done this before, then I guarantee we'd all seen that level of growth, and we always just probably thought back like, man, I can't believe I said that, or I can't believe I used to think like that. That's crazy. And that's the thing about life, because we're all constantly evolving. And journaling isn't the only thing that helps you unlock this form of self-discovery. You can meditate, you can go to therapy, you can speak to friends or family, getting insights and different perspective and viewpoints on your life and the way that you process things really just puts you in a different perspective. It puts you in a position to be able to expand. And with me, I tend to learn powerful lessons, along my self-discovery journey whenever I may go through low points. And these low points can be anything from family problems, they can be heartbreaks, they can just be, the weight of life sometimes, just having to work or just wake up and strive to be great. And one thing that I've learned about myself, and I hope that you guys can take this into account too, is the very fact that, one, none of that lasts forever. None of the pain, none of the trauma, none of the hurt, any of that stuff lasts forever. Just like we don't last forever. And when you put yourself in a position to understand how short life is, understand that you don't have time to be stagnant, and you should be more focused on growth and evolving and figuring out your true self, then you will not waste no time. You will not waste the time or the energy just sitting down, kind of allowing yourself to be in that victim state of mind when you have way more growing to do. Each and every time that you go through something, it should be you unlocking new versions of yourself. It should be you learning something. It should be you putting yourself in a different headspace so that you can view the world slightly different and actually slightly better than before. But it's so important that you take the time to discover yourself, get to know yourself. I feel like so many people go majority of their lives without actually understanding who they are, without actually taking the time to sit down and write down their likes and their dislikes, to process and think about, their overall being and what they represent. I'll never forget, I had this friend's mom, and when she asked me this question, I was a little younger, so, I didn't really understand her. But anyways, she looked me in my eyes and she said, "Who are you?" And off the top of my head, I'm thinking like, oh, I said my name and I said what I like to do. But then she asked the question again, and that actually made me felt like I answered it wrong. So I proceeded to kind of give a slightly different answer, and then it just made me realize that I just wasn't really in a state of mind to be able to take in what she was putting down as far as the answer that she wanted. So that question always sat on my mind, and I've always reflected, and I've always tried to put myself in a different position to be able to answer that question. So ask yourself, who are you? And if you aren't able to answer this question confidently, if you don't know off the top of your head what to say, then you have some more work to do. You have to do some more figuring yourself out. You have to do some more discovery work, because, regardless of anything, people go their whole lives feeling like, they know who they are until they get put in a position to actually define who they are. But when you do this, you will unlock so many strengths that you probably never would have thought that you ever had. When you take the time to get to know yourself, when you take the time to stop focus on pleasing people, or to stop focusing on, external things, and turn all the attention and put it back on yourself, because you are the source. First of all, you are you, and you have to take care of yourself. You have to allow yourself to grow and expand. So therefore, you should be your main focus, right? But when you really do take the time and put all that energy back into you, I guarantee you'll get rewarded for it. Just like anything else that we do in life, when you dedicate so much time and so much energy and effort to something, at some point you will be rewarded for that hard work. You reap what you sow. So really just take that into account as you're going through your day-to-day. Really work on really healing from past traumas. And that's another thing that holds so many people back, because Oftentimes we're in the shell, or we're in this bubble of focusing on, like I said before, everything outside of who we are. Putting yourself in a position where you may be people pleasing, or you may just be around people that aren't really in tune with their true self. And that's why I also feel like it's very important to always surround yourself by authentic people. Surround yourself by people who understand who they are, people that represent something. And one thing that I've always loved about my friend group, and I don't know if any of y'all can relate, but if y'all can, then that's cool. But you know, each and every last person in my friend group is a different person. Yes, we're friends, so we have similarities, but we all stand for something different. None of us are followers. It's like a friend group of like 3 that are all complete leaders. We don't follow each other when one person may be doing something that we disagree with. And I feel like that's just how it should be. You should be able to think for yourself. You should be able to stand for something, no matter what group you're in or no matter what setting you're in, because you're an individual at the end of the day. But if you made it to the end of the video, I just want to say thank you so much. It's your boy Blue Jay Tay. Drop a like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.